In this lesson, I will introduce you to a very powerful Excel tool known as AutoFill. Using this tool is quite easy, but it is crucial for you to understand the logic behind it, because you will see in future lessons that it is very useful, and it's also something you will need to use every day in Excel. Let's start with an example to understand what the AutoFill is in practice. In cell A1, I will type the word poetry. I will press enter to close the cell, and then I will select A1 again. Notice here at the bottom right corner of the selected cell that there is this square dot. I will hover the mouse over this dot, and notice that the mouse turned into a black cross. This happens in any selected range. For instance, I will select the range C2 to I11. At the bottom right corner of the range, there is this dot. From now on, I will call this dot with its name, which is the fill handle. When you use the fill handle on a single cell, whether dragging it down or to the right or in any other direction, what happens is a simple copy. Let's see how it works. I will select cell A1, and I will now click on the fill handle, hold down the left mouse button, and with the left mouse button still pressed, I will drag it down to cell A12, and then I will release the left mouse button. What just happened was that a copy of the contents of cell A1 was created in the other cells. You can do the same thing towards the right side, the left side, or even upwards. However, you cannot do it simultaneously in two directions, meaning you can't drag down and to the right side at the same time. If you want to copy your data both downwards and to the right side, you must first use the fill handle towards one direction and then towards the other. I will select cell A12. I will click on the fill handle again and try to fill it in the data downwards and to the right at the same time. Notice that Excel does not allow me to do so and just chooses to copy my data either downwards or to the right, depending on where I place my mouse. Since I have already used the fill handle downwards, let's see how I can do it in some other direction. I will select cell A1 again. I will click on the fill handle and hold down the mouse button and drag it to the right up to cell G1. And now I will release my mouse. With this range selected, I will click on the fill handle again, and I will drag downwards until line 15, and here I will release the mouse button again. So I can fill a range, but I have to do it in two steps, first in one direction and then all the other. I essentially get the same result as doing a copy and paste, but in an easier way. So one might say that this is not as special as I mentioned at the beginning of the lesson. Things will start to get interesting in a moment when I will show you some additional features. But before I do that, it's worth mentioning something that doesn't entirely relate to AutoFill. It's about the ability to move selected cells by clicking on the frame that appears when I select them and by dragging that frame. Now that cells A1 to G15 are selected, notice that there is a border around them, and of course the fill handle at the bottom right corner. I will click on any part of the border except from the fill handle. I will hold down the mouse and I will move them to the area, let's say E2 to K16. Okay, now I will select cells E3 to K3. I will click on the border and I will move them to the area A3 to G3. So instead of using a cut and paste, I can click on the border of a selected cell range and drag it to place it in a different area of my worksheet, or use the fill handle to achieve a result like the one you see here. Let me show you now the real power of the fill handle. I will select the whole worksheet by pressing Ctrl-A, the Ctrl-A key combination twice on the keyboard, and I will press Delete to erase everything. I will now click on cell D2. I will type the word Monday here, and I will press enter. Let's say I now want to type the rest of the days for 2 weeks downwards. I will click on cell D2, and I will use the fill handle to drag downwards. As you can see, while I'm dragging down the fill handle, a box appears next to each cell I go over, telling me what day will be inserted in that cell. For example, here in cell D8, I have reached Sunday. I will drag it down to D15 to make a list of a 2-week period. and now I will release the fill handle at cell D15. As you can see, the days were automatically filled in. The same thing can be done with the months. I don't necessarily need to start from January. For example, I will go to cell F2 and I will type March here. Without pressing enter, I will use the fill handle directly dragging it down. As you can see, all the following months are appearing, and when I reach December, it takes me back to January and goes on. Of course, the same can happen if I go towards any other direction. I will select Friday, for example, or cell D6, and I will drag the fill handle to cell A6. As you can see, it filled all the days backwards up to Tuesday. The same happens when I drag upwards, so left and up fill in the opposite with the opposite logic of right and down. Let's see now how AutoFill works with numbers. To start, I will enter just one number. I will go to cell H2 and I will type the number 1. Then I will drag the fill handle down until I reach cell H6. Nothing special here. It works with the copy logic as before. When I enter the word, just a simple copy. I will press delete to clear the contents of the selected cells. I will go to cell H2 and I will type 1 and I will press enter. Now in cell H3 I will type 2 and I will press enter. Nice. Now I will select both cells together and I will drag the fill handle down until I reach cell H15. Now Excel recognized that there was a pattern between the content of cells L2 and L3. H2 and H3, and applied this pattern to all the following cells up until cell H15. With exactly the same logic, it can work with other numbers. For example, in cell I2, I will enter the number 0, and in cell I3, the number 2. I will select both cells, and I will drag the fill handle down to cell I15. Now the values between the first two cells had a difference of 2, so Excel recognized that pattern and made a series of numbers with a difference of 2. Let's see it one more time. In cell J2 I will type the number 1, and in cell J3 I will type the number 5. I will select both cells and I will drag down the fill handle to cell J15. Notice that the values in this series increase by 4. Why 4? The difference of the first two numbers, 5 minus 1, is 4. AutoFill also works with other data types such as dates. I will move to cell L2 and here I will type the date 6th of January 2025. I will click on the fill handle. I will drag it down to cell L15. As you can see, the dates are filled in automatically with a difference of 1 day between each cell. This is especially useful when I'm dealing with such lists where I need to input dates. You saw how easy it is to create them instead of typing them one by one. In this case, the dates in the cell advance by a day because I didn't write anything else. But as I showed you before, when I was dealing with numbers, I can set a different pattern between the cells, and AutoFill will complete the data based on that pattern. If I enter two dates with a specific distance between them, it will maintain that distance when filling the rest of the cells. See what I mean? I will in cell M2, I will type the same date as in L2, 6th of January 2025. And in cell M3, I will type the date 6th of February 2025. I will now select these two cells and I will drag the fill handle down to M15. Since the first two dates have a 1 month difference, each value in the series has a 1 month difference from the previous. Note that when the year changes, it proceeds to the next year and so on. This can be done with any data difference, and if I use the fill handle upwards or to the left, it goes backwards. In cell N14, I will type the date 6th of January 2025, and below it I will type the date 20th of January 2025. I will select the two cells and I will click on the fill handle and I will drag it up to cell N1. The resulting dates have a difference of 14 days between them, which is the difference between the two initial dates. However, since I dragged the handle upwards, the dates go back in time. The fill handle can do much more than what you saw here. It can help you automate many processes. Some of these will be covered in the next lessons, such as easily and quickly copying formulas and functions that you create. However, you will see the real power of the fill handle in the advanced level material if you choose to continue after this series of lessons. What you should remember from this lesson is that when you need to fill data that has some logical sequence, you can write 1 or 2 cells of this data, select the cells, and use the dot called fill handle to achieve the desired result by dragging it to any direction. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.